Okay. So, cost segregation. Um, this is, I'm sure I've talked to most of you guys about this, but this is something that just goes hand in hand with what we already do in our industry. Um, it starts to open up the commercial real estate opportunities for us because we can do commercial loans, right? So, it's just a tool to get us in the door with commercial realtors. There's plenty of them out there, right? You can go to I think the one right in SVL, right when you're entering SVL, right? That's commercial real estate. And there's a bunch out there. And for those who don't know it, I'm pretty versed in it, and I can teach you guys how to do commercial loans. It's not that difficult. Little differences, but um, acts very much like a DSCR loan, commercial loans. They look at the business's ability to produce income, and that income is what dictates, uh, the loan amounts that they'll loan based on their interest rates, et cetera. So it's a little different, kind of backwards from regular loans, but it's a loan's a loan. And then real nice thing about commercial business is there's no TRID stuff, right? There's no Fannie Freddie CFPB involved, none of that crap. Like we can do whatever we want. They're not protected the way regular consumers are because they're business owners. They expect them to be savvy and know their stuff. So it's everything's negotiable and charge whatever you want, whatever you can get away with. So, but to that end, we're always trying to differentiate ourselves, right? That's why we're all here with West One Capital Group because we know our processing's, on point. We know our pricing's on point. We know our compensation's on point. And so when you have all cogwheels working and everything in alignment, it's like now we got to let the masses understand and know what we have to offer, why we're so much better than the rest of them out there, because we're heads and tails above everybody else in terms of all those points. Um,
Hey, Carrick, have you done a commercial deal with West One Capital?
I have not completed one with them. No, I've got plenty of them working right now, but I have not closed one with them yet.
I was just wondering how we compete with the competitors out there.
Well, we're not doing them really through West One. Everything's brokered. So, so it's really, it's not a West One thing. It's just more, whoever we decide to broker with, and just like any non-QM product, it's all the same. We're still, relying on that particular investor, and their offering and what they have. And my job is to find us those entities out there that we can do these deals with, right? West One, they're just so loosey goosey when it comes to whatever we want to do, they're like, do it. Whereas you go to other big shops, like if you went to Quicken, they wouldn't allow you to do any of that. They want you to focus on their little bucket of products and that's it. If anything outside the box, I don't care if it's a reverse or if it's a non-QM or if it's uh, you know, uh like a rehab loan or anything like that, they have you refer it to those departments and you get a little, you know,
Yep.
chump change, referral fee or something like that. I want you guys to be able to learn and do all this stuff. So when I first learned about cost segregation, obviously I thought first and foremost, this fits right in our wheelhouse. It's what we already do. We get loans for people, we create benefit for people, we create savings for them. Just like if we're doing a debt consolidation, we're creating a savings or creating a better, position for them. And that's what we do. When I learned about solar initially, it was the same thing. It was just like, oh, light bulb, same thing that I already do. I'm eliminating electric bill, I'm saving them money. It's what I already do. So why not, enhance and package and bundle our offerings to make it better, right? If I went to a solar loan as an example and the rate's 899, well, if I could put that same solar system, same size, same as all the competitors, everybody out there is offering the same price, same system, and it's going to do the same job in terms of saving you money and your return on investment, but I can give you a a 6% interest rate versus an 8.99 because I'm going to roll it into your mortgage, that makes better sense, right? And a regular solar guy doesn't know how to do that because he's not mortgage savvy. Likewise with cost segregation. Cost segregation is simply a way to accelerate depreciation. That's really all you need to know in terms of that. We're accelerating depreciation on a commercial property. And so let's just break that down for a quick second. So commercial properties are inherently on a 39-year class life, which basically means that a CPA is going to say your after land value of the property. So let's say the property is worth $3.5 million, and $500,000 of that is land value. So subtract that out. Your property value is $3 million. Of your $3 million, that is, for most CPAs, they'll set you up on a 39-year class life. In other words, whatever your tax deductions are, whatever amount that, whatever your rate is at, if you're at 33% or 38% or 28%, whatever your tax bucket is, you get that over 39 years. So let's just say, as an example, $3 million times 30% is 900,000. That's your that's your depreciation amount divided by 39 years. You get 23 grand a year, right? For 39 years. CPAs, because when they're credentialed and they're getting their certifications to become CPAs, they got to go through coursework and training and licensing, just like we do. And they touch on cost segregation, but it's nothing that they have to learn in depth. It's just something they briefly talk on, but it's a completely different animal. It's like, think about it like if you're a doctor. If I go to medical school and I become a doctor, I'm a general doctor, and then I specialize in brain surgery. Okay. Well, this other guy decides to specialize in optometry. He's looking at eyes, right? That's an optometrist, right? Did I get that right? I'm not in the medical field, but um, so the eye doctor can't tell the brain surgeon how to do his job, and vice versa, right? Neither one of them know each other's specialties. That's what they specialize in, but they're both doctors, right? Well, it's the same thing in this industry. If you're a tax consultant, you're a CPA, you learn how to do people's taxes. And that's their bread and butter. That's what they do. They do like us. They do home mortgages, right? And maybe if they're at Greenlight or Cash Call or one of those places, all they do is conventional and govy stuff, period. They don't do anything else. They don't do non-QM. They don't do reverse. They don't do construction, nothing. They're in their bucket. They don't even know how to do those other products. Most of them don't even know how to do down payment assistance, but their specialty is in what they've trained on. And so they don't advise on stuff that they don't know about. It's very similar with cost segregation. A CPA is going to tell you, I know how to do your taxes. I'll set you up on a 39-year class life because I know that that's safe. The IRS is not going to audit you if I put you on that. It's easy per cheesy, and I rifle through my 300 clients at tax season, and and I'm done. Cost segregation is a study that is done by an engineer, and they'll come out and actually physically go through the property and dissect it. They dissect it in all kinds of different buckets. They look at everything from the roof to the foundation to the windows to the doors to till the parking lot, the asphalt, the lighting outside, the lighting inside, carpet, everything, you name it. And they put it in different buckets. And that's what CPAs don't do. CPAs just lump everything as one and say, okay, you're going to get $27,000 for the next 30 years or 39 years. But $27,000 today is not going to be as valuable 39 years from now. 39 years from now, 27 grand is going to get you a new golf cart, right, Jimbo? It's, when you can get that thing for 5 grand today. The time value of money is what's the value in this. we get them that money back today versus tomorrow by reclassifying the property in shorter term. And so that's where when I first saw this, I'm like, okay, this is a no-brainer. It's not super popular in California. Um, so we've got, it's more prevalent on the East Coast. So it's wide open, and there's all kinds of ways to bundle this with the offerings that we already do. So if somebody's looking at, as an example, if you went to a commercial realtor and said, "Hey, do you got any deals for me? Anything anything in the hopper?" Well, yeah, I got this one guy who's looking at this $8 million property, but it's going to cost him another $1 million to rehab it to what he needs it to be for his business. It's going to take another million for him to, uh, you know, become profitable, and it's going to take 2 years in his estimation to become profitable, and it just doesn't pencil mathematically. He's going to run out of cash, and it's just not going to work. And then we come in and say, well, what if we can throw cost segregation on it and get you $1 million back your first year? Will that help you move forward with this deal? And they're like, heck yeah, that solves my problem. They didn't even know about it. And so then, if we come in as, like, as an example, if you come in as Patrick the lender to this guy and say, hey, I do commercial loans, but I also do cost segregation, and I can make it to where this deal is going to pencil for your client, whereas every other lender that he may have been going to get that $8 million loan to purchase that property, um, hit a stumbling block. Didn't hit a stumbling block, but the deal died because the buyer decided, this isn't going to pencil for me. I'm going to run out of cash. But Patrick comes in with a red cape with a big S on it, right? And says, hey, I can get you an extra $1 million back. I can do the loan for you and get you $1 million back in cost seg. Now does your deal work? Well, heck yeah, the other guy didn't offer that, right? And so that's why I bundle it with the loans, with the solar, because we can do the solar as well, right? For that. So try to bundle all these things together. Let's say, like the one I'm doing in Anaheim, the lady needs $500,000 for the solar system on her motel. Well, if I can get you $175,000 this year, 175,000 next year, and another 170 in 2019, that'll pay for your solar system. And she's like, great, but I still need to finance it because I'm not going to get all that money right up front. No problem. I'm going to do a $3 million loan for your building. We're going to take 500,000 of that and buy your solar system. And I'm going to put money into your cost segregation study to get you uh, 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 all that money back over the next few years, and help, pave the way for whatever you need to get your business up and running. So, I see potential, obviously, in everything that we do, but you know, and anybody else, any other cost seg company can come in and say, hey, we do cost seg too, but we do it better than Jimbo does it. But can you do the loan for the guy too, and the solar and everything? Like, we're here with a bundle package. And each one of those entities, if it's a solar guy, he only does solar. If it's a loan guy, he only does loans. If it's uh, if it's a cost seg guy, he only does cost seg. But when we can bundle all these things together and be the one-stop shop, I think that's where we'll shine and separate ourselves. So I'm going to share my screen here on this overview for cost seg. And we'll just touch on the basics. So you guys can see that screen, yes? So
Yeah.
CSSI is I have two different companies that I can run these through. CSSI has been around probably the longest. They started in the late 90s, when cost segregation first started getting traction. It's when the IRS started opening up, and there was a couple court cases that went through in favor of cost segregation, and just kind of paved the way for it to get legs and get rolling. They've done well on this is a little bit old, but they've done over 50,000 studies, and not a single one of them was overturned by the IRS. So here it shows that they've been in business for 21 years and 45,000 studies. They've done they've been in business, I think, closer to 23 years now and have done over 50,000 studies. Never triggering an audit. And if they do, if an audit does happen with any client that they work with, and it could be triggered by our cost seg study, or it could be triggered by something else, but the IRS, has them at the auditing table. One of the representatives of CSSI will sit down with that client and the auditor and defend the cost seg study. And they've done that probably, I want to say close to 20 times in their years of being in business, and not a single one was overturned. So that speaks volumes. So cost segregation, what it is. So again, it significantly reduces income tax, increases cash flow, provides detailed documentation to support tax positions. And they do all the forms for their CPA. So one not issue, I wouldn't call it an issue, but one of the hurdles with getting cost segregation done is, we have to get a copy of the client's depreciation schedule from their business tax returns. It's all we need. We don't need anything else other than depreciation schedule, because it will show, doesn't matter how long they've owned the business, it'll show if they're on a 39-year class life, or if there's anything else on their shorter class lives on their depreciation schedule. And if it hasn't been implemented, they will start to dissect the property and show them on the basics of what they can do for them. So, but the problem is that when they do that and they show them, hey, I can get you 175 grand this year because you've never taken advantage of cost segregation. And then that client goes to their CPA and says, hey, this guy told me about cost segregation, this Patrick guy, and why the heck haven't you been doing cost seg for me, Mr. CPA, that I've been using for the last 10 years? Like, how come you've never implemented this for me? And they start, doing their song and dance, and next thing you know, they're trying to convince them, oh, these guys are crazy, don't use them, or whatever, and we've had some CPAs actually get fired because their clients were so pissed that they were never taught this or presented this opportunity. So that's one of the hurdles that we have to get through. They do R&D. There's benefits for that too. So like I did a solar system for a company called God, what was the name of them? Big company in Corona. They manufacture aluminum commercial windows and doors. And we did a massive system on their building. But within their building, they have a department that does a lot of research and development for their own, always trying and figure out different applications for what they do. And so there's massive tax benefits that they can get if any company like that has that. And a lot of them do. A lot of them can at least say that they do, right? If they have like I'm doing one right now for a tea company. It's a guy that manufactures teas. And but he's always checking out different kinds of packaging and different kinds of tea mixtures and whatever. That can all fall under the R&D and be able to get them some tax relief based on some of the stuff that they do there. This 179D is another part of cost segregation where they look at energy efficiencies, such as, putting in insulation, windows, doors, solar. Obviously, solar already has a depreciable amount, a 5-year accelerated depreciation, but there's all kinds of other things that they can do in order to add this to their plate of what cost segregation can add to it all. And then the green zip tape, which I think we had talked about before, it's brand new. It's basically the CSSI has an agreement with the owner, the guy that owns the patent on green zip tape. And so it's exclusive to us. So again, if there's any other cost segregation companies out there saying, well, we do cost segregation, and but do they offer green zip tape? Because They don't. We're the only ones that have it. It's proprietary, patented, and approved by the IRS. And all it is, it's a removable drywall tape. So any non-load bearing wall, it says right here, uh, transforms non-load bearing walls into energy efficiency. What they're basically saying is when you put up a wall within a building that's non-load bearing. So think about an apartment complex, right? All your exterior walls are all load bearing walls, but all the little rooms and bathrooms and everything in between, those are not load bearing walls. So they put this drywall tape on all of those walls. And now each one of those walls becomes personal property. It's no longer real property. It's not attached to the building anymore because it's removable. The tape can be removed and the drywall can be removed, and it can be repurposed, reused, and reconfigured somewhere else. And that's a big deal to the IRS because one, drywall is toxic when it goes into the landfill. So there's, concerns there. But the other fact is that, you're not throwing it away. You're reusing it, right? And because you're able to reuse it, they reclassify it as personal property, not real property, and therefore it gets a massive tax deduction. So I have one I'm working on right now, crossing my fingers that it goes through. I think I told you guys about this before, but I have a client that's doing a 78 unit apartment complex in Hesperia, and we presented this to him and his developer. And that guy has cost segregation company that he already works with. They do cost segregation for him on all of his other projects. And we shared with them and said, okay, so on this particular project you're looking at, you're going to get back in a regular cost seg study, not including the green zip tape, about $3 million back first year, uh, going cost seg. And he's like, yep, that sounds about right. Great. What if I can make that $10 million? Would you stay with that cost seg company or would you come with us? He's like, that's a no-brainer, stupid question, right? Of course I'm going to go with you. Show me how to do that. We incorporate the green zip tape because green zip tape will give you a 3x or plus on your cost seg return because of the way the IRS classifies it, especially on something like that. Because again, it's apartment complex, so there's a lot of non-load bearing walls. So again, even though there's other cost seg companies out there, we can beat them by offering this. And those guys, just FYI, were drooling at the mouth with that. And we're talking about all the investors they have and all these other developers that would just be all over this and invest and do multiple projects just like that one. If they can get this one done and show the money, right? Show them the money, show them the difference, show them the savings, show them the return. So this is huge. Green zip tape is huge. And there are sites that me and my buddy John are tapping into where we're able to pull permits or pull the applications for permits on commercial construction. So we're getting that dialed in right now so that we can contact those developers or building owners or whatever on their projects prior to them breaking ground and introduce green zip tape and everything else that we offer to try to get that business. Again, commercial realtors, I think we all probably feel comfortable going in and talking to realtors. So going in and talking to a realtor, maybe one that sells dirt, right? And says, hey, I just sold, 50 acres to this company that's going to build, a big apartment complex or whatever. Hey, do you know about this stuff? Will this help you solidify the deal, Mr. Realtor, for your guy? If we can introduce these other things and you win the deal and you close your deal and make a commission and yada yada. I actually have I don't know if you guys know Karen Copeland. She's working on her NMLS license. She will be on our team, but she's a commercial realtor out of Rancho Cucamonga, and I met with one of the top guys there. He owns like over 1 million square feet of industrial space in all of the LA area. He's one of the principals of MGR Real Estate in Rancho Cucamonga, the commercial division. And this guy as well. He knows so many people, and he's just drooling at the mouth on this stuff too. We're going down to do a presentation to all 45 of their agents. But these are carrots that you can get in the door and wave around and get people fired up. So here again, just a little bit on CSSI. More than 45,000 studies. Audit representation, just like I told you guys, they will do audit representation if they're ever audited. National, we can do this in any state, doesn't matter where. It's total national, don't need a license. I've already gone through all the training and certification to do this. They allow affiliates under me. So you guys will just be affiliate. You don't have to go through all the training and the testing, which, mind you, what's a passing score for NMLS? Anybody remember what the minimum is?
70 or 75, I think.
70, yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
75, I think.
75. You know what it is for cost segregation? 100%. You cannot miss not a single question. And it's all of as extensive as NMLS. Pretty crazy. I'm a really good test taker, so I was able to get through it. But anyways, and then the other thing that happens typically, a lot of these guys, when they are successful with a cost seg study, and they don't just do the study, do the report, and hand it off to the business owner. They actually set up a meeting with their CPA to show their CPA how they did the study, how it's put together, all the IRS forms that are required you're basically amending the taxes that were done before, the depreciation schedule that was done before. They're amending it on a 3115 form, which is a super extensive form. Most CPAs don't even know how to fill it out. So they'll do it for them, show them how to do that. And we really want to befriend those CPAs. We don't want to be the bad guy, because we want them to refer all their other customers to us too when we show them what we can do for them. Again, some of them are going to take some heat in the beginning if they've been with a client for a long time and they've never introduced us, but not their fault. And I would tell the client that every time, not their fault. That's nothing they had to learn or know. They went to dental school. They don't know how to. They're a doctor, but they don't know how to do brain surgery, right? I mean, just because they're a doctor doesn't mean they know that part of of the medical industry. So this is the short overview. There's this other overview that gives a lot more detail and a few examples here. So let's look at these examples. So this is an office building. They spent or the building cost minus the land was 7.8 million, almost 7.9 million. Their tax benefit savings was 359,000. That's what they got them back, right? So they got them back year one, 359 grand. The study cost 15 grand, but you can write the study off. So the study after their write-off, it was only 9 grand. And it's a 40-to-1 ratio on the return on investment. So if you take 9,060 times it by 40, that's what you get. So for 9 grand, you give me you give me 15 grand, but you're going to get to write off 6. But you give me 15 grand and I'm going to give you 359 grand. That's a no-brainer, right? We're talking like I got 2 paper bags. No, I got 1 paper bag. I got $359,629 in this bag, and you got a bag with 15 grand, and we're going to exchange same time. We're going to trade. Tell me who wouldn't do that, right? That's a no-brainer. We're going to do that every single time, and put this money in my pocket. Here's a dental office. Building was only 250 grand, and you'll see the studies are based on a couple of things. The cost based on this ratio, because we want to make sure that the money that they're getting back, that this is proportionate enough to this. This is almost half the ROI of this one, but still, $2,400 to get 32 grand is kind of a no-brainer, right? If it was 15 grand, you'd be like, no thanks. But if it's only $2,400 to get that, right? No brainer. Self-storage facilities, those are always great because I always have those internal walls that can all be use green zip tape on and whatnot, but these are always really good. Here's a 31-to-1, 100 grand back for four grand. Here's a restaurant, $1,000,000, got 58 grand back, and the study was $3,600. So we get 40% of whatever the initial study is. So these are all kind of small deals, obviously, right? Me and my partner John are looking at big deals, just like the one I told you about, the one for the 78 unit apartment complex. I'm working on a $20 million loan for those guys, commercial loan. 20 million. That is just the loan that they need. The actual I think the cost of the whole project is upwards of $50 million, which they have the difference of from investors and whatnot, 30 million. So that cost seg study is probably going to be, I'm guessing probably 70, 80 grand, maybe more, to get them back millions of dollars, $10 million or whatever it is that they end up getting back on that deal. So the commissions on that's going to be huge, right? But if you bundle that with the $20 million loan that I'm doing for them at what's fair? 1% on that? There's 200 grand commission there. Another, call it 50 grand or whatever commission on the cost seg study. And then if I get the solar on top of it, because guess what? All new construction in California requires solar, commercial or residential, doesn't matter, right? So now I've got an additional, I don't know, call it another 50 grand in solar commission. And, I mean, I could sit at my pool in the backyard for the remainder of the year if I wanted to after that one transaction, although I won't, but I could, right? That'd be enough to survive on for this year. So anyway, so that's these are just a few examples. And then this here is it's an 84-page playbook. This playbook I'll forward to you guys. It gives you a ton of information from beginning to end of how cost seg works, how it originated, the court cases that brought it to light, and a lot of information on how to present it, all the how to counter pushback, how to counter pushback from CPAs, how to push back counter pushbacks from the client, and so on and so forth. So there's a ton of good information. Obviously it's 84 pages, so it's a lot of stuff in here, but this kind of gives a flow of how to, engage the client and get them to the finish line. A lot of good stuff in here, but so I'll forward this to you guys so you guys can have this and review it at your own leisure. But honestly, and I tell this even to clients today, like I'm more of like a financial guy. I'm not a tax expert by any means, right? And we've all been conditioned in our industry to always tell people, whenever they ask for tax advice, hey, I'm not a CPA. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, like you need to talk to your tax advisor on tax, questions. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a mortgage guy. But but you'll have enough information in this to be dangerous. And still, even today, if I'm talking to people about cost segregation, I tell them, hey, I'm not a tax expert, and I'm really not even I'm not a cost seg expert in terms of like, I'm not the underwriter, I'm not the engineer that's going to do the engineer-based study. I just know how it works, and I know how to put you in connection with the entities that are going to do the study for you. The initial first study is free, doesn't cost them a nickel. All we need is a copy of their um, depreciation schedule. We submit it in, and we get a free, from the hip, bare bones, very conservative estimate. And then if they like what they're seeing, then we go into contract with them, ask them for the money, and then they'll do the actual study. They'll send someone out and do the full analysis of the property, take a zillion pictures. Then they take that back to the underwriting department, who then go through all the analytics, break out everything. And we also, at the same time, it's not just the pictures, but we also ask for lists of any and everything they've ever spent on the property in terms of improvements, because a lot of that stuff we get to give them a bonus depreciation on a lot of that stuff too. So so it's kind of like doing a loan. We get all the basics, get all the basic information, submit it in, and then they come with the final study in the end. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks on average to complete these studies. We schedule an appointment with their CPA. We go over it with them and the CPA, and then they file it, and then they get their money back from the IRS. So just knowing that part alone, just what I just said, it's just a way for you to accelerate, depreciate your building. We break your building up into different buckets, into different classifications, to get you to accelerate, depreciate parts of your building sooner than later. And there's a ton of bonus depreciation that we can get for you as well. We'll do the analytics for you for free, show you what you could get conservatively. If you like what you see, we move forward and get it to the finish line and get you your final study. And it's as simple as that. And most people, when they see the amount of money that they're getting back conservatively, they're like all over it. The one I'm doing right now for the motel, and I'm doing the solar on that, we're actually financing the cost seg study in with the finance for the solar system. So it actually, I don't have to ask them for a nickel out of pocket, because it's already going to be financed with the solar job. So that makes it nice. Same thing if I'm doing a loan for someone, right? Like the apartment complex, if I do the $20 million loan, well, guess what? If the cost seg study is $500,000 or whatever it ends up being, $100,000 or whatever it is, I'll just throw that into the loan, and they don't even have to come out of pocket for it, and I get my commission. So anyways, any questions, you guys? I know Patrick had to leave. If no questions.
Hey, Carrick.
Yeah.
So this cost segregation and the green tape stuff, that's all, it sounds really cool. It gives us a niche to get all this business,
That's right.
but there's nothing exclusive about it. So as soon as they hear about it, everybody's just
No,
going to
it is
adopt it.
exclusive. That's a thing. The green zip tape is exclusive to CSSI. They've partnered with the owner of the product, and the owner they basically hired CSSI and all the sales reps to sell green zip tape for that guy. We have an exclusivity with them. So no other cost seg study company can come in and say, "Oh, we'll offer green zip tape too." Then they're exclusive to us. So kind of gives us that niche.
They're exclusive to CSSI.
Yes.
So all the other companies that are doing loans can just start working with CSSI too, right?
What do you mean?
I was just wondering, like eventually,
if there's another commercial lender or commercial realtor or whatever,
right? Anybody can work with CSSI, right?
yeah, they could, but I mean,
We got it right now.
how are they going to know about them when we've already, they came to us and we presented it to them. And here's the deal: once a proposal's been done, let's say we do the proposal for the apartment complex and we give him the freebie initial one, and then that guy, the building owner, takes that freebie one and then takes it over to his cost seg guy, right, and says, "Hey, look what these guys can do." And that cost seg, his buddy, goes, "Whoa, let me check out CSSI, let me get dialed in with them, and I'm gonna offer this too," right? Well, that deal's already in the pipe with them. He can't come in and it's already established with us. He can't come in and take that one. He could do future ones maybe, but he's not going to get that particular deal. It's already logged in for Jimbo, not Joe Blow, right?
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's cool.
Yeah, dude. It's just a way to get in the door again. A way to like walk in and bring value, right? We're not just saying, "Hey, I'm Jimbo. I do commercial loans. You got anything?" Like you're coming in saying, "Hey, I got something that nobody else has. Guarantee it." Oh, we've already got a cost seg guy. Our class, we already refer cost seg guy to our all of our customers. No, you don't. You don't know me. Let me show you the difference of what I got, and I guarantee you're not going to use those guys anymore, because we got something they don't have, right? And that's, again, we're just bringing value or bring something different to the table that nobody else has and can offer. And you say, hey, and your cost seg guy can't do the commercial loan. He's a cost seg guy. So I do the commercial loan, I do the commercial solar, and I do the green tip tape through our cost seg, and we're a one-stop bundled shop. And oh, guess what, Mr. Realtor? You want a piece of the pie? Let me bake you in a couple cookies on this deal. And bam, right? Why would they go to the other guy that's not giving them nothing?
Not if you have cookies, man. We got it.
Yeah, cookies, donuts, whatever you need, man. Churros, right, Nina? All right. So I am going to stop sharing. I am going to